Harry Wells is the most famous Wells on The Flash, and I think it's everyone's fan favorite character on the show. At least he's mine, and I know he is for a lot of you. We haven't seen Harry since season 6, post-Crisis, and even then, it wasn't like him in person, because he did. It was a hologram of Harry with him getting his intelligence back. Now, we have a multiverse, and that multiverse is being rediscovered in season 9. We know that. It'll be rediscovered probably in 904, if not 903, from what it looks like. So that's what we'll be dealing with. And in this multiverse, there is a high possibility that Harry Wells, and Jesse for that matter, but mainly Harry, could be back in the multiverse, and it's the same Harry that we had pre-Crisis. Now, would it be on Earth 2? No, because Stargirl is on Earth 2. And I don't think that they would have a Flash and a Green Arrow on Stargirl's Earth and then not introduce them. Keep in mind here that the Green Arrow on Stargirl's Earth is someone different from pre-Crisis Earth 2. Pre-Crisis Earth 2 Green Arrow was Robert Queen and then Adrian Chase that we found out in 801 of Arrow. If you remember that. It went Robert Queen and Adrian Chase. We had a Flash that was the fake Jay Garrick, aka Hunter Zalman, and I don't know what happened after that. But we do know for a fact that Jay, the real Jay, that we see in every single season of The Flash and episode and all that, across Stargirl and, the other shows where he shows up, he was not based on Earth 2. He was based on Earth 3. As his post-Crisis Earth 2, or Earth Prime Jay, the Jay that we know and love, has started out on Earth 2 and somehow ended up on Earth Prime. We don't really entirely know how, but it's, yeah. So, well, I guess we do know how. It's just no one wants to admit it. Because it's a multiverse. But Harry could be on, Earth 10,000. It doesn't matter what Earth he's from. I think what matters is if it's the same Harry that we know and love. Now, if they do a multiversal thing where it's a Harry Wells and he knows a version of Team Flash with the same timeline, same everything, but the difference is that he didn't lose his intelligence to the Vo, because maybe this Harry didn't have to deal with the Vo. I think that would be a cool thing to do, because then you could bring Harry in with his intelligence and not have that ruined, right? To where he's nerfed with his intelligence in any, way like that. Now, I know I said earlier that the last time we saw Harry was in season 6 post-Crisis. We did technically hear him in season 7. 701, when Barry got his speed back when all Welleses died. But I don't really count that as seeing Harry, because it wasn't really Harry. It was Harry speaking through Nash. It was still, you could hear Harry's voice. Even though it was Tom Cavanaugh, it's okay, he's still Harry, right? And we're going to say goodbye to him, which is amazing. But that wasn't really truly Harry. We didn't see him. We didn't actually get to, say goodbye to him in a legit way. We just got to say goodbye to him through Tom Cavanaugh's performance, which, was straight up amazing. But, again, we never really got to see him one last time. The last we knew about Harry was, pre-Crisis, was his intelligence coming back, and that was the last place we left with him. So, and it was a pretty disappointing, it was pretty depressing was what it was. It was also disappointing that we didn't jump in that further. We really couldn't, because Earth 2 got wiped out in Arrow 801, so they just killed Harry off. I understood why they did it. They needed to pose a threat, but at the same time, you kill one of the best characters on The Flash off just to, have nothing with that character at all. I don't know. It would be nice to get Harry back just to get his character done and done, right? Like I said already, there's a multiverse. There's a new multiverse. Different Earths, different people, different timelines. Some are similar to ours and some are different. If they wanted to bring in a Harry Wallace that was very similar to the one we had pre-Christ in season 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 that showed up and then 7 that showed up in Natch's mind, like, that is possible. You could have an Earth where it's the same timeline for the past 9 years. Barry Allen's been the Flash. He's married to Iris West Allen, and there's Team Flash, and they dealt with Zoom, DeVoe, Savitar, and Takeda, and Ava, Godspeed, Despero, and Deathstorm, Thawne, like 10 different times over, and Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Crisis on Earth X, and well, maybe not Crisis on Infinite Earths. Some aspects of Crisis on Infinite Earths, probably. But Crisis on Earth X, Elseworlds, Invasion, I mean, those are all things that could still happen on this other possibility of an Earth, right? It'd still be our Harry, it's just, it wouldn't be really the one that we had pre-Crisis, but it would be very similar. Compared to, we're bringing a Harry Wells that has nothing to do with anyone, doesn't even remember meeting Barry or Cisco, and, now, if they do bring Harry back, which I would be somewhat surprised if they do at this point, because they're filming 909, and we haven't seen him. That doesn't mean he's not back. It just means, they're not filming outside for it. But assuming he, is not returning this season, which I mean, the last Arrowverse appearance we had a Harry was in 701, which personally I'm okay with, because it was the last time we ever got to see a Wells. Besides Thomas Wells, but we didn't even see him in season 8. The Wells that we got in season 8 was Thawne, and even though he's not really a Wells, it's Thawne, period. There's no, I mean, he's Wells a bard, but it's still Thawne. It's still Matt Thawne underneath that face, so, however you want to look at it, I mean, that's the straight up fact here, is that it is Matt Thawne, is just with Tom Cavanaugh as the face of it, which was set up in season 1, and it carried over in season 4, and thanks to Todd Albin being an idiot, and then, we all know that Todd Albin's stupid. He proved on Sam and Lois. So that is what we are dealing with here, is that, there are many possibilities to bring Harry back. It's just, will they do it, and if they have done it or not. If they don't do it by like 9/10, 9/11, don't get your hopes up. At least for filming. Again, they could do stuff behind the scenes. If they bring Cisco back, they could definitely bring Harry back in the episode. But it's really just a whole matter of, like, when really show up, will it be in the back half, the first half? Another thing to point out is the setup for the season. How many covered novels are there? Are there 2 or 3? Because right now, it seems like we're getting 2 in the first half of the season, and the back half is just like, quote-unquote, interludes. But it's like one story an episode to the series finale. That's what it seems like. I mean, 909 is its own story, with Barry being the main focus, it seems like. Which I know some people were really not wanting that for whatever reason, when you have Diggle, Wally, and Oliver, and Bloodwork all showing up. Let's not make it a Barry-centric episode. By the way, those people who said they're all Iris... I almost said Iris Payne, are all Iris West Allen stands, so you know where they're coming from. Heaven forbid we get a Barry-centric episode once a season without Iris in it, before the community loses their SHIT, and we have to deal with the backlash. Thanks, community, we love you so much. Look, 909 will 100% be Barry-centric. If it's not Barry-centric, everyone's going to go on a rant about it. But the point is, or at least most people will, the Irish stands won't, but they'll be so happy. Probably the only people in the community that will be happy about, frankly. But Look, assuming that there even is a graphic novel in the last, like, 3 episodes of this season, because that's what it will be, is 3 episodes graphic novel, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Well, 4 episodes, but are we really assuming that 9, 10 is starting the graphic novel? I can't imagine that. Because it seems like 904 and 905 is an interlude in itself. Or not an interlude, sorry, a graphic novel. 901, 902, and 903 is an interlude. Or, I keep saying interlude. 901 and 903 seems like its own graphic novel with the Rogue Gallery. 904 to 905 seems like a graphic novel for Red Death. And who knows what 906 through 913, right? We don't know anything else going on there besides 909 is with, Oliver, Wally, Dig, and Bloodwork all showing up, which will undoubtedly lead to the Earthbound comics being wrapped up, which I brought up in my video last night, which clearly not everyone got notifications for. So if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. It's been a lot of time on that video, so I would appreciate it. But look, I really want Harry to be in the season. I think it'd be nice to get him back one last time, like we did with Oliver. And it wouldn't be that difficult to call up Tom Cavanaugh and say, hey, do you want to come back as Harry? He's probably going to come back as Reverse Flash anyways. So, who knows where that's going to go on. But it'd be nice to see him again. Now, there's something I do want to bring up. If Harry does not show up in the Flash Season 9, there are other ways that we can see him again. Because something tells me that the Arrowverse canon comics that started with Earth Prime, which is where I know for a fact that Stephen Amell will be appearing in Season 9 of The Flash as a Spectre, which if you pay attention to the Earth Prime comics, you would know it's a fact. And how we all knew post Season 8, before Season 9 was even announced to be the last season, that Bloodwork would be appearing in Season 9, assuming it was even picked up for a 9th season. Sure enough, it was, and here we are talking about it. But my point is that I really do believe that this will not be the end of the Arrowverse comics. I truly do believe the Flash writers will continue to keep the Arrowverse alive through comics. Now, I don't know how that'll work. I don't know how many they'll do. But they can easily come back in like 5 years' time and do like a comic book series of the Arrowverse where it's tying up where Legends ended, where Batwoman ended for those fans who won't shut up, and then we can do new Arrowverse, adventures that they couldn't pull off in live action, at least with schedules. The Earth Prime 6-issue crossover, which is what it was. It was a 6-issue crossover. It couldn't have been done in live action purely because of schedules, but also the crossover didn't really pick up till issue number 5, which was the Flash issue. And, when you look at it, it wouldn't have done that great in live action, but in the comics, it worked. We brought in Stargirl to the Arrowverse, right? It connected it fully. Superman and Lois was part of that Earth Prime comic issues, but they're not going to do anything with that in the show, probably, knowing them. So it doesn't really matter. What does matter here is that the Arrowverse canon comics are 100,000% going to continue. I can't imagine them not continuing it. Now, what would the purpose be? Because the purpose they had with the Earth Prime comics was that it would tie into the Arrowverse shows like Flash, Batwoman, Legends, Supergirl, and Stargirl, which was Stargirl I did. Batwoman and Legends got canceled before they can even do anything with them. And Superman and Lois, again, not part of the Arrowverse, probably won't do anything with them. And the Flash is obviously doing a lot with Earth Prime comics, which is not surprising considering the 2 teasers we have for Season 9, which is a Spectre and Bloodwork, and kind of Wally, I guess, appearing in the comics, was that they would be appearing in Season 9, and they are clearly continuing that story arc in Season 9. That being said, if they do another whole, comic-y take on the Arrowverse, which, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, they could easily bring Harry back some way, somehow, through that way. And frankly, I wouldn't mind it one bit. I think that'd be so cool to get Harry back in some shape or form. Would I prefer live action? Hell yeah. But it'd still be cool to see him back in the Arrowverse, whether that's through the comics for the Arrowverse or, again, live action. I don't really care. It just would be nice to see him again in the Arrowverse one last time. I think that'd be an amazing feat, an amazing thing to do, and an amazing thing to pull off one way or another. So, yeah. That's always something that, the Flash writers, Eric Wallace, and the showrunners of Batwoman, Legends, Supergirl, Superman and Lois, and, all the shows that were part of the 6-issue Arrowverse canon comics. They released in season 8 of The Flash. I mean, they set up this comic-y world, right? Not only through live action, but also that they can bring these characters into the comics. I mean, Dreamer's already done that. She's all over the comics. After Supergirl ended, she's been in several DC comics. But the fact that they're making comics off of the Arrowverse, which is the last thing I was ever expecting them to do, I think it really did well for the first time it's ever been done, where the Arrowverse is actually being connected to its own canon comics. Because we've had comics for Crisis on Infinite Earths, Crisis on Earth X, none of them were canon. None of them mattered. We had a comic that took place during the Flash Season 1 and Arrow Season 3, when they had that crossover. It was another type crossover thing. It wasn't canon. We had a whole thing of, I think, Flash Season 3 and Arrow Season 4, I want to say. There were comics with them too. It didn't matter. It wasn't canon. So this is the legitimate first Arrow's canon comics. I can't see them stopping there, especially with The Flash being the last Arrowverse show standing. Now, assuming Legends of Batman don't get picked up for another season, or, I shouldn't say picked up, come back for a final season, The Flash will be the last show, as it should be. So it's just going to be a whole thing of what happens there. Could they do another comic issue release? I think it'd be cool to see, but that could all lead into Harry coming back one way or another. And I think it'd be very cool to pull off. And another whole thing to say that we got to see Harry one last time in the Arrowverse. Especially if it won't be in season 9, which I would be a little bit surprised if it was, to be honest. So, yeah. Who knows where all that's going to go. But thank you guys for watching the video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.